Hey guys, Snake the Goalie here. How's everyone doing? As promised, I'm going to do a breakdown of my original video I uploaded a few years ago. I don't want the videos to be too long, so I'm going to split it up into probably 3 parts. I only want them to maybe be maximum 4 or 5 minutes because I know I can get rambling on when talking about this stuff. So here is, the video breakdown part 1. Hope you guys enjoy. Okay guys, so the first skating drill I do, we'll call it skating drill number 1, and I'm basically T-pushing from one corner of the crease to the other. Well, I'm actually T-pushing from one corner of the box to the other, but I'll get into that in a later video. Basically, as a goalie, when you look down, you don't just see a crease. You see lots of shapes, you see lots of little philosophies and these shapes of rules and principles that all come attached to them, but I'll talk about that in a later video. So skating drill number 1, T-pushing from one corner of the crease to the other, and let's take a look right now. Okay guys, here we go. Hockey goalie skating drills. As you can see, I start on my post. I T-push from one corner of the crease to the other, coming back to my post. One corner of the crease to the other. Making sure when I hit my post, your heel's on the post every time. You want to keep your eyes up. T-push from one corner of the crease to the other. I also like to teach, I like to keep my stick centered the entire time. I know some goalies will move their stick off to the side as they T-push and then center it as they stop. I'm personally not a big fan of this. I like keeping my stick flat and centered on the ice the entire time as I shuffle or as I T-push. When I was a kid, one of my earliest coaches took a piece of tape and he taped the middle of my stick, and he said to line my belly button up with the tape on my stick to kind of help wrap my head around keeping my stick centered. It sounds silly, but I find it really helped me out. So I've prepared a little slide here. We're going to talk a little bit about T-pushes and the importance of T-pushes and what they are and when we should use them. Alright, so the first point I've written down for T-pushes are they are fantastic for traveling long distances. That doesn't mean they can't be used for short distances, but ideally, when you talk about a T-push, they're very beneficial for traveling long distances when going from the corner of your crease to the other corner of the crease. If you make a save on an angle and you direct the puck to the corner and you got to rotate T-push back to your post, or T-push and follow your rebound. So they're very good for traveling long distances. Some important notes to keep in mind: when you T-push, you want to snap your foot to stop, and you want to have the weight on the balls of your feet. Basically, when you T-push, you want to stop right away. You don't want to hit the ice and keep gliding. You want to be nice and set. So you want to snap your foot to stop, and you want the weight to be on the balls of your feet. You don't want your weight on your heels. You don't want the weight on your toes. You want the weight on your balls of your feet. That goes the same for a goalie stance as well. When you're in your stance, you don't want the weight on your heels. The weight's on your heels and you stop in a T-push, you're going to fall on your butt. You want the weight on the balls of your feet. So, third point I've written down, they're useful for recovering from a full butterfly. Example, directing the puck to the corner, follow your rebound. Like again, I just said this, but the guy comes down at an angle, shoots a short side, you direct the puck to the corner with your stick or your pad, you rotate, you T-push up, follow your rebound. And they're just a fundamental skating movement that is important to be proficient in. So it's one of the fundamental movements as a goalie you have to become very, very skilled in, is the T-push. Okay guys, so we're going to watch this first skating drill one more time. Knowing what we know, let's take a look. Look for a nice snap of the foot, eyes up, stick centered, As you can see, I'm getting a nice snap of the foot, getting nice and set, staying square the whole time. My eyes are up, my head is up, my stick is centered, T-pushing from one corner of the crease to the other. Eyes always lead the way. I know sometimes in this video I don't do it, but when you've been doing it for a while, it kind of becomes second nature, and you don't really emphasize it. But when you're starting out, eyes always lead the way, no matter what movement you do. Whether you're sliding, whether you're shuffling, whether you're T-pushing, whether you're catching a puck, your eyes always lead your body. If you turn your head, your body's naturally going to follow it. Your shoulders, your hips, you're going to rotate, you're going to square up. So your eyes are always leading the way. Okay guys, now we're going to jump into skating drill number 2. We'll call this, you're going to T-push to the center of the crease. Same idea, you're going to start on your post, heel on the post every time, T-push to the center of your crease, T-push back to the other post. Center of the crease, back to the other post. Okay guys, so one important thing to remember for this drill is you have to pivot when you're at the top of your crease. So when you T-push and you set at the top of your crease, you have to pivot in order to go back to your post properly. And you pivot with your toes. So you can C-cut as a goalie and you can pivot. They're kind of opposite movements in a sense. Where you pivot, you use your toes, and you C-cut, you use your heels. But for this drill, you got to keep in mind when you're at the top of your crease, you got to pivot that back foot so it squares you up and sets you up to go back towards that post, so you can hit that post right away with your heel. So the next two skating drills are the exact same as the first two, but all we're doing is we're adding in a full butterfly. So we'll call this skating drill 3. You're going to T-push from one corner of the crease to the other with a full butterfly. Important things to keep in mind on this drill. When you go down on your full butterfly, which is just a fancy way of saying you're just dropping down, you always got to look first. So same rule applies when you're on the post. You got to look to where you got to go. When you're first T-push, then you do a hard full butterfly, then you got to look first as well. Rotate, T-push to the corner of the crease, back to the post. I also like to teach keeping your stick nice and centered and compact the whole time as you're moving, whether you're shuffling, whether you're T-pushing. As you can see, when I go down, I rotate, I T-push set. I try to keep everything very compact. My stick always flat, always square on the ice, always centered up with my body or centered up with my belly button. Okay guys, so this is going to be the last skating drill because the video is getting quite long and I don't want to keep rambling on. So we're going to call this skating drill 4, T-push to the center of the crease with a full butterfly. It's the exact same as skating drill number 2. Just when you hit the top of the crease, you're going to do a nice hard drop, full butterfly. And you're going to remember to look first, rotate your body, T-push set back to the post. Again, keeping your stick nice and centered, your eyes up, your eyes leading the way. The reason why it's important when you're in your full butterfly to rotate back to your post is it squares you up. It's the same as pivoting. When you're on your feet, you got to pivot your back foot with your toes to square you up to the post. When you're in a full butterfly, you got to rotate your back leg. And looking first helps. I know I don't always do it in the video, like I mentioned earlier. When you've been doing this for a while, it kind of becomes second nature kind of thing. But if you look first, your body will rotate, and that'll help rotate your leg, which will square you up to the post. Even if you wanted to slide back to the post, this is very helpful as well. Alright guys, so just going to do a little summary, little conclusion here, a few takeaway points. That's it for the end of the first video. So let's look at what we learned. Eyes lead the way. Look first. T-pushes are a fundamental skating movement, and they're fantastic for traveling long distances. You want to have the weight on the balls of your feet during a T-push, as well as in your stance. This is just a general rule of thumb. As a goalie, you always want the weight on the balls of your feet. For the most part, there's exceptions when you do C-cuts and pivots, but the main point is you want to be like a cat. Yeah, you want to have almost perfect balance. You don't want to be on your butt. Second last point here, ideally you want to keep your stick centered and flat on the ice during movements, T-pushes, shuffles, slides, etc. And we also learned about the importance of pivoting in order to square up to the post when recovering. So that's it, guys. I commend anyone who made it through the entire video. I know it was long, but there's a lot of stuff to talk about here. So I just want to thank you guys for watching. And yeah, stay tuned for part 2.